I want to make sure my sound is off so we don't have any echo. There we go.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Entrepreneurs Live Show. I am David Orflin, your host, and this afternoon we've got a spectacular guest. We've got a guest that's a best-selling author, not once, but twice. One of his books became an instant success and became the best-selling book immediately. The second book became an instant success in 3 hours. Oh, sorry, other way around. I apologize. The first book in 3 hours, the second book immediately. I would love you all to welcome Morry David to the show. Morry, welcome to our show.
Well, I thank you so much, and it's a pleasure being on your show. I've heard so much about you. I've seen some of your shows, and it's an honor to be on your show.
And it's a pleasure. Now, people, before we go into the interview, I would like to just give you more information on Morry. Morry is all the way from Huntingdon Valley, Pennsylvania, in the United States. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did a great job.
Awesome, man. Now, you helped me in the beginning, so you shared with me how to say it, because sometimes when I look at names in America, I'm like, ouch, should I try and say that or just keep quiet? But this is awesome. Morry, I'm blown away. First of all, when I got your introduction, you sent to me your profile, I looked at it and I'm like, wow, that is like amazing. How can somebody be so awesome, write so many books, get so successful, and still have time to help entrepreneurs? And I thought to myself, nah, I can't let this guy go. I need to speak to him. I need to book him. And it's spectacular because if I'm right, it's now 6 o'clock here in South Africa. It's going to be around about what, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock there by you?
No, actually, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. So I'm
Ouch.
talking to the future.
We're talking in the future and I'm talking back to the past. That is quite awesome. My friend, that is spectacular. Let's start off, if you don't mind. You've got 3 amazing books that you've done. 2 of them is published. 1 of them is coming out soon. Let's talk a little bit about it, if you don't mind. Would you like to introduce us to your books? I believe your first book was called The Chase.
The first book is called The Chase, and I'll hold it up. I don't know if your readers could do. Oh, I'll try to keep it away from being the glare.
That is absolutely perfect.
This book was actually written 20 years ago. At that time, wow. I had written about 19 manuscripts. And unfortunately, the internet at that time was a baby industry. And in order to get things published, you had to request, mail your submissions to a publisher, and they had to read it and mail back to you. And I mailed that particular book to 600 publishers, and they all rejected it without reading one word. And that was because at that time, they weren't taking unsolicited material, and they all asked me to have my agent contact them. So I then contacted 2 agents, and they came back to me saying that they don't take on new writers, but as soon as I'm published, they'd be happy to represent me. So so I basically put everything in a drawer. And about 2 years ago, one of my friends, we were at a party, and my wife mentioned to one of my friends that I'm a writer, and he, of course, never knew this. And he asked me to give him one of my manuscripts, which I did, and he read it. And he said, well, why isn't this published? And I told him the story, and he said, well, that was 20 years ago. Perhaps you should try again. And I took 4 publishers on the internet that I thought were interesting. I sent them an email with a chapter or so. Within 2 weeks, both of those publishers asked to see my entire manuscript. And 2 weeks later, they both offered me contracts. And one of the publishers was a smaller publisher than the other one. And I actually went with the smaller publisher. Actually, it's a medium-sized publisher. The publisher's name was Indigo River Publishing. And I visited them with my wife and became friends. And when the book came out, I basically did some of the marketing myself. I have some backgrounds in marketing, and that became a bestseller in 3 hours. And immediately when that
Wow.
book became a bestseller, I handed the publisher the manuscript, which became my second book called The Ghost of Shepherd's Inn. And that became a bestseller immediately. So I was lucky to be a bestseller out of the gate with two books. And now my third book, um, which hasn't been released yet, it's called Cosmo. We have every reason to believe it's going to become a major motion picture. The wheels are turning, and of course, with Hollywood being closed, it's difficult to have contract signs and to have an idea when this movie is being made. But we're patient and we're on the right track and we're waiting.
Now that's awesome, Morry. First of all, congratulations for your 3 books that look amazing. And like I said to you earlier, the thing that amazed me the most is when you showed me the book, The Chase. I'm in South Africa and I saw it in our bookshop. Come on, that's thousands of miles away, and your book is seen this side. That is just truly, truly, truly amazing. So I tip my hat off to you for that. Amazing. And then obviously your second book, The Ghost of Shepherd's Inn, the follow-up on The Chase, is a book that instantly became a success and hit the best-selling name. I mean, wow. How many people can ever say that in their life? Blown
I'm
away.
I'm extremely lucky. I had a wonderful publisher behind me. They did a wonderful job in the covers, making the covers of my book. I mean, the first book,
Beautiful.
the
Beautiful.
cover looked like a movie, something that they would use in the movies, and even the second book and the third book. So they had wonderful people that helped me, and of course, my knowledge of marketing that helped move these books along. And I had nothing to do with distribution. That was the publisher. So if you see it in South Africa, I had nothing to do with that. The publisher did that.
No, but that's awesome. You know, that's what it shows again. It depends on your team. If your team is standing with you, you are going to make a success because, you know, I always tell people single, when you're standing single or alone, you won't be as strong as a team because a team will pick you up. They will see things that you don't see. They will encourage you. They will, yeah, it's just a whole team effort. So, absolutely beautiful for that. Then obviously your book Cosmo, that you say it's not released yet and it's going to go on to become a movie. I mean, good heavens. Most people that write books that becomes movie have done series of it, like the creator of Harry Potter. She created all the books first and then she became famous for her movies. Your third book and you're already getting a movie. So I've got a feeling we're going to see a lot of your things coming into movies. And like you say, your covers look like a movie already. I mean, when I
Yes,
saw the chase, I immediately thought of this heavy suspension action drama. And I just like, I need to read it. I need to see it. I need to touch it. You know, I live into stories. It's just what I do. So amazing, Morry, absolutely beautifully amazing. And for the listeners that want to get the books, Morry is on Amazon. Go and look up for him. On his writing, you'll see it's M. David. And go and look for his book. Support him. This is wow. I'm completely amazed, my friend. You know, I'm trying to go here through my notes that I made about you, and I'm just like thinking, good heavens, wow, it's really amazing. Now, another thing that I would like to touch on is obviously when we're speaking now, you're speaking about your marketing knowledge, Morry, and that's quite important because earlier on in our conversation before we went live, you said to me that you help a lot of people in business, specifically women in business. Would you like to give us a little bit more information on that, if you don't mind?
well, I spend a lot of time talking to entrepreneurs. You know, when you've been in business like myself and been in business for, I guess, 50 some odd years, you develop a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, a lot of street knowledge. And
Yes.
street knowledge is different than what you would learn in college. And certainly a
Yes.
college education, they give you tools. Imagine if you wanted to be a carpenter. Well, if you go to college, and if there was a college for carpenters, they would show you all the tools required to be a carpenter. But that does not make you a carpenter. You see, when you graduate that
Correct.
college, and
Yes.
this is the problem with many entrepreneurs, they look at their college education and they're saying, well, now I can go live out my dream. And the hidden part of the equation is they haven't yet gotten the experience. And you're not a carpenter until you're using those tools, until you stand next to an expert that uses those tools and he shows you what to do and what not to do. So many people, when they graduate college, they certainly have an entire tool chest of knowledge, but they don't have the experience yet. And I like to
Yes.
talk to young
Yes.
entrepreneurs, and I'd like to ground them and to actually talk about their dreams and talk about reality and the pitfalls of doing certain things. And the biggest problem that most people have as far as being an entrepreneur or living out their dreams is fear. We as human beings are taught, from the very time we were a child, to be afraid. Don't touch this pan because it may be hot and you will burn yourself.
Correct.
Don't do
Yes.
this. Our parents are very protective, and don't ride your bike without a helmet, which is a good thing, a good piece of knowledge. But nevertheless, we're brought up with all these constraints and fears, and some of them are good. But what happens
Yes.
is those fears can prevent us from living out our dreams. And it's because sometimes we discuss our dreams with other people who cannot imagine the dream. It's not their dream, it's your dream. And sometimes those people will say, well, you shouldn't do that. It's not going to work. And that necessarily is the proper information. They're giving you their perspective. But unfortunately, many of us and many entrepreneurs, when they hear so many negative things from different people, they decide, well, maybe this is not a good idea. Maybe I shouldn't live out this dream. And I try to tell entrepreneurs, certainly living out a dream is a great idea, but you should gain the knowledge. You should gain the experience. You should get the business plan. There are steps to living out that dream. You just don't wildly abandon everything that you have in life and say, I'm going after my dream, because unless you're extremely lucky, you will wind up crashing and burning. So, trying as a businessman to explain this to entrepreneurs, when I get this across to them, it seems to help them.
That is quite awesome. And I like what you're saying there because, being a young entrepreneur myself, not too young, but young, um, the most difficult thing is getting somebody to believe in you and getting the right support and people to actually just listen to you. And yeah, it's truly amazing. Another point that I want to touch on is, Morry, is when we were speaking, you started business at the age of 12. I mean, wow. Share with us that
Yeah.
story. What did you do?
Well, from a very young age, I looked at my father and other people, and I said to myself, I can do that. And the first thing was I was learning piano, and I realized from those piano teachers that although they were teaching me scales and they were teaching me technique, I didn't like certain things as a student. And I said, boy, if I was a teacher, I could probably do a better job, not necessarily in teaching technique, but getting a person to love the instrument. And I became a piano teacher at age 15. And I had hundreds of students where, I would take a student that basically refused to practice, refused to play the piano. And within a week or so, the parents would call me and say, how did you do that? And it's because I found out what the student wanted and I gave it to them. And that's a secret, by the way, of being an entrepreneur. Find out what your client, your customer, find out what they want and then give it to them. It's a very
Okay.
simple.
I
Most
like that.
people have it reversed. Most people come up with something and say, I'm going to bring this out and I'm going to force people to understand that they need it. It's a lot easier to find out what they need first, and you build a better mousetrap. Why do it the hard way? So from being a piano teacher, when I got a little older, I opened up a music store, music school, and I taught guitar teachers my same concepts. And moving on from that, I wound up having a recording studio where I recorded some top professionals. And then I moved into taking the sound dynamics of a recording studio and placed them into discotheques. A lot of people may not even realize what a discotheque is today, but
I don't
back in
think
the
they'll know.
80s, most of the time, those discotheques, the sound systems were developed by an electrician that they hired, put a speaker here, put a speaker there. And of course, when I came in with my knowledge of the recording business, all of a sudden it was no longer a speaker here or there. It was a sound system that went through the person, that they felt, something when they walked in the building. And then
Beautiful.
I entered the field of security, where I was a security distributor for many, many years and had, I guess, 2,000 customers, and designed alarm equipment
Wow.
and things of that nature. And then, of course, I opened up my own alarm company, which I actually still run today, where I do custom systems, television systems and alarm systems and door locking systems and computer systems. And of course, my books was something I was doing in between. It was one of those dreams that I always wanted to do. So now that my businesses are pretty much set, I'm pushing heavily on my dreams. And boy, to have a movie from one of my books, that could be a legacy that my grandchildren or great grandchildren could say one day, look what Pop did.
I like that. I like that. Just imagine it, sitting in a lounge and your grandkids walk up to you and say, my granddad made that movie. It's his book. It's his knowledge. It's his story. I mean, come on. Yes, that's legend. That is absolutely legend, my friend. I'm just sitting and I'm in awe, and I'm like, oh, wow,
Well,
completely wow.
I'm not this perfect person. I'm sure my wife has other names to call me, but nevertheless, it's all based upon being somewhat fearless. I'm not afraid to try something new, but I also educate myself in the steps required to make sure that I don't crash and burn. And that's the concept that I try to teach people. And it does work. It works for everybody. It's a question of, don't go into something blind. If you have a dream,
Yes.
certainly you don't want to become a person in the 80s that say, I always wanted to be this and I never did it. Well, you can do it. You can do anything. Now, maybe I can't learn how to be a surgeon at my age, but writing a book with a team behind me helping me, I did it. And you can do it as well. And anybody out there in your audience, if they have a dream, they can do it. They just have to learn the steps and gain the knowledge.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Morry, you are awesome. I want to give you some messages from people listening in and seeing us on Facebook. Leonie is saying, very good story of how not to give up. Keep going till you get it. Doesn't matter if 600 people said no, eventually someone will say yes. Thumbs up. Well done. Then we've got a special one for you. This is our dear friend, Mr. Santa Claus, Shannon Bowden. He is awesome. He's the founder of the Real Bearded Santa. If you follow your passion, you will never work a day in your life. I
Right?
mean, wow. I love it. Guys, I absolutely love it. Now, I would love you all to send messages to Morry. Remember, Morry David is all the way from Pennsylvania in the United States, and he's a 2-time best-selling author. Send him messages. Let's have a talk. You can ask him questions on things that you'd like to know, and we will gladly read those questions live here on the Entrepreneurs Live Show. Our telephone number is 076 058 4796. Now, Morry, I would love it if you can share some wisdom with us. tell us a little bit. If you had to start a fresh entrepreneur now, where would you start? What would you do? What will you not do? Having the knowledge that you've got now.
Okay, well, the first thing, if we want to talk about being an author, and I try to coach people in being an author, is I let them know that they have to prepare themselves. I mean, this is the biggest problem that people have, and this is why they crash and they burn. They're not prepared for the worst. You have to learn from other people in that field. All right. If you want to start something, if you want to be an entrepreneur, and let's say today you're looking at COVID and you're saying, what could I do? You know, COVID is going to stop me. No, if you look at it and say, what could I do to help people during this COVID situation? About 2 weeks ago, I spoke to a young lady. She was a therapist. And because she worked in a school, the school was basically closed. And she says, I don't know what to do with my life. I want to help people. And my answer to her was, why don't you reach out to people on Facebook and tell them that you're a therapist? Because children today are going through mental anguish. They're not, in certain areas of the world, they're not with their friends. They'd like to, they don't have social interaction. They're staying home watching a screen that becomes boring after a while. Okay, they're missing some of the things that they're missing: birthday parties, they're missing sports that they may be involved in. They're having mental issues. They need a therapist. And this woman said to me, I never thought of that. And I said, here's a situation where COVID will actually create a job for you. All you have to do is find the market and reach out. So there's an example where, you know, you can take a lemon and make lemonade. You know, you just have to stand out.
Literally.
Got a call here. Okay. What is it that I can do that will make me happy? And if I'm happy, my passion will rub off on other people. They'll feel it and they'll want to be involved. That's what happened with my book, Cosmo. When my book Cosmo came out, and I wanted to make it into a movie, I started to discuss my passion and why this was so important. And people said to me, what is it that we can do to help you live out your dream? So they saw how passionate I was, and they wanted to join in my passion. And that's what drove the book becoming the direction it's taking to become the movie, because there's people behind it that want to see it succeed. And I'm very lucky I met those people.
Yeah, but also, you know, it's through what you've done and who you are, and people see what you do. I mean, wow, Morry, again, I'm speechless. I just want to read this to you. Shannon just shared something with us, and I think this is good words of wisdom to share, where Edison, when asked how he felt about falling 1,000 times to make a light bulb, he answered saying he never failed. He proved 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb. It's all about your perspective on it. And that's good. It fits into what you were just saying, Morry, because what I've seen personally from an entrepreneurial side, you know, also helping people and all those things, the biggest thing they always say to you is, but I can't do it, or I don't know how to do it. And my answer to people normally is, if they tell me they can't do it or they don't know how to do it, is pick up your phone somebody that's doing it, call them, ask them, can you tell me what you're doing? Because by just taking that step, like you said, taking that step out of your comfort zone and speaking to somebody, like I would talk to you and I'll ask you, listen, you're a writer, you're an author. What advice can you give me onto the magazine? How can I do this? Where can I improve it? You will see it from a different perspective because you're already there. You're already published. You're already amazing. And if we don't take that first step and say, listen, help, end of the day, you won't get help. Help doesn't fall out of the air. Help comes from asking. And it's amazing how you're saying, listen, young entrepreneurs, get up. I won't say what I want to say because we're on air, but you can just imagine. I always tell people, stop being lazy. Anybody can do anything. And I usually joke and I say, if I can do it, you can do it, because, yeah, there's reason to it. But anyway, Morry, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. What's coming up for Morry? You know,
Well, I
what new
just
books
wanted
are
to
you going to
say,
write for me?
I want to build on something that you said that was very important. I tell people, because they're afraid of making a mistake, and they think that if they make a mistake, it means that they are a failure. And I tell people, making a mistake is a learning experience. You're a failure if you don't learn from that mistake. You're not a failure that you made the mistake. It's not learning
Yes.
from that mistake. So never be afraid of making mistakes, because at that particular point, you will learn all the things not to do, which is exactly what you said about Edison. He learned how not to make a light bulb. Okay, so he eliminated all the steps of what a light bulb should not be, which left him the only step as what the light bulb should be. And you know, that's a very important message to give to people. Don't be afraid. You know, what is the worst that could happen? That you learned not to do something? That's great. You'll use that experience for the rest of your life. It's just like when we were children and we were taught, do not touch that pan, it's hot. Well, if we touch the pan, we now learn, don't touch the pan. You know, sometimes
No, that's true.
we'll learn for ourselves, but we will never touch another hot pan, you know, but we learn from that mistake. And that's what the key factor is between an entrepreneur and a wannabe entrepreneur. Is an entrepreneur will take those steps. He'll regard those mistakes as a learning process, whereas the wannabe entrepreneur is afraid to even take the step. And that's a shame, because his fear is stopping him.
That is,
So,
you know, it's a good way that you're just saying there about the pen. I can use a practical example. I was one of those kids. If you told me not to do it, I most likely will do it because it's just in my nature. I'm very, nosy. I want to know things. So one of the things that happened to me as a child is we had prickly pears in our yard. Obviously, prickly pears is extremely thorny, and it's difficult to get it out. And I remember I was about 4 years old, and my mom said to me, David, do not touch that prickly pears. You will get hurt. So they left for church. When they came back, my hands were swollen like anything because I grabbed with both hands. I don't take just one hand. I always grab two hands at something. And both hands was full of that little thorns. And I'm sitting there and crying. My mom asked me, will you do it again? And I go, yes.
Oh, you would?
No, I actually said yes. Because for me, it was about discovering what it is. Because I remember peeling off that fruit, putting it in the fridge. It's ice cold and you're eating it and so nice. So I wanted to do it myself. And later on, I actually did the same with hot water. My sisters was making coffee and I'm like, I want to try that also. So when everybody left the kitchen, I switched on the kettle, got everything right because I can remember things quite good. I've got almost like a photographic memory with that. And the one part I forgot was to switch off the kettle because it was those old kettles. And this thing was still boiling and I started pouring the water and the water just went everywhere onto my hands. And again, they said to me, will you do that again? And I'm like, most likely, yes. So, you know, the other night on a call, I said to somebody, you know, I've failed 1,000 times, but I've stand up 1,001 times. It's a learning curve. Morry, you agree with me? We are going to fail in life. We are going to fail in certain things. We're going to fail in products. We're going to fail in sales. That doesn't stop us. We just need to stand up and brush it off, take the knowledge, learn from it, move forward. And that's how people became successful. You know, I love reading stories about entrepreneurs and everything. And one of my favorite is Richard Branson. I used this the other night, but I would like to use it again because it fits. Richard Branson shared in a training that my wife and I was watching. He shared that A while back for Virgin, I'm not sure if it was for Virgin Active or for Virgin the Group, he was hiring people to come and work for him. And at the airport, when they were supposed to come for an interview, he dressed himself up as this old 90-year-old cab driver. And he goes there, and some of the people give him the bags and tell him to carry and hurry up because they're going to be late for an important interview with Richard Branson. He immediately turned around and told them, "I am Richard Branson, and you're fired. I'm
Oh,
not even hiring you." Then there was a few people that actually saw this old man, and they felt so sorry. They actually helped him, put an arm around him, open a door for him, even offered to drive the cab for him. And he said to them, "Well, I'm Richard Branson. I'm hiring you now on the spot. No interview further." And this is what I want to say. This is a man that's failed and failed. He's not scared to say it. And today he's one of the richest guys in the world. Look, it's not all about money. It's all about the knowledge. But just the method that he works with it. And your story that you're sharing with me, it just fits so beautifully into it. So that's awesome. But yeah, Morry, I need to ask you this. Um, we know you're busy and waiting for everything to happen with the movie, but what are you planning? Because I can see you one of those people that won't sit and wait. You're going to do something, or you're already busy doing something. What are you busy with at the moment?
well, what we're doing, or what I'm doing with the help of many people, is we recognize that the theaters, at least in America, I don't know in South Africa, but at least in America, all the theaters are closing. They're afraid of having a group of people all together in a theater. And because of that, these theaters are in a lot of trouble. And what has happened, the shift, the dynamic shift is that people now are buying large screen TVs, they're buying sound systems for their TVs, and they're creating a room that they can, a theater, almost a home theater. A lot of people, they'll buy a big screen TV, and they're, instead of going to the movie, they're watching movies at home. And this presents a problem because in 2 years, will these people leave their home and go back to the theater? Okay. Uh, Theaters are going to have to be different. They they will have to have a different experience than what we currently are doing at our house. And movie industry has to recognize that there's more to it than the movie. And we are working on systems where we are going to be turning theaters into a Disney, if you're familiar with a Disney, if you've ever been to this, a Disney-like experience, where when a person
Wow.
walks into the theater, they are not just looking for their particular movie. Where's the movie? What hallway do I have to go to where my movie is? From the time that they walk into the theater, we want to give them entertainment. It's not just the movie.
Nice.
We're doing things with holograms, holographic projectors, things that they've never seen before. And when they finally go to the movie, we are integrating holograms with the movie, with technology like phone applications and things of that nature. So when they walk out of the movie, they're leaving saying, boy, this was great. I wasn't expecting this. Well, that's what I'm working on now. Since I can't work on the movie itself, I'm working on all the external
Oh
elements
my
that will
word.
change the movie industry. And we're doing, I have some companies, a company in Canada that's doing some fascinating things. And it's just having the team of people to help me with this. I'm just so blessed. I really am.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That again. Wow. um, I'm crazy about technology. My wife knows this also. Currently, we're watching the what do you call it? Strictly Come Dancing from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And because of COVID, there's a lot of restrictions to it, and they using CGI technology to enhance the experience for people. And just this Sunday on the show, it was quite amazing. There was a scene that they did, or a dance that they did, and it looked like it was from the rooftops, literally with the 3D effects of going down and everything. Now, knowing about that, I know it's this technology that they're using, and my friend, it's amazing. If you're going to bring that into the experience, I don't think people will leave. They're actually going to go and say more, more, more.
Well, this is
And again,
we're bringing augmented reality, virtual reality. We're bringing
beautiful.
holographic images. These are
Oh, I
things
love it.
people they don't know. Well, they exist, but it's never been done in an area of a movie theater because we have to turn that theater into a family entertainment center. It's more than
Yes.
just a movie. We must. And then, by the way, Cosmo is going to be an interesting movie because there's no elements of people dying, people being shot. There's nobody being blown up. There's no
Oh,
sexual situations. There's nothing in it that has ultra violence. There's no curse words. This is a family type movie that a person in their 90s would enjoy, and bringing their great grandchildren with them to the movie they would enjoy. And so we want to
oh,
open up
wow.
movie theaters with the biggest family movie ever. And that's, my passion, and that's where it's headed. And we have some real interesting producers and directors, some of the largest producers and directors in the world. I cannot mention names. Like I said, some of them haven't even been approached yet, but they'll find out about it. And between that and between changing the theaters, we think that this is the hope of the industry. Otherwise, if we don't do things like this, then the theater industry is going to die, and that's a shame.
It is. And it's something worth saving. End of the day, it's one of the best experiences anybody can have ever. And what you're going to do to it is going to just like pump in new blood into it, which is, in my personal opinion, long overdue. Um, even when we go to the movies, I always tell my wife, you know, I'm kind of tired of the old scenes and things that's happening. You know, the thing comes up, especially like in Sterk Nicola, shh, the movie is going to start, switch off your thing. And I always say to myself, you know what? If you make that more interesting, and like you're saying now with holographic projecting and stuff, if you can make that and the people are sitting there and all of a sudden that image is projected there and it looks like somebody standing there and it's like, hey, you, keep quiet. We're going to watch a movie now, something like that. Just imagine that experience. You will not forget it. You're going to be sharing it with everybody. And that is how you start a revolution. And the whole industry will just pick up again. Because why? The movie is going to be good. But hey, the things happening in between and afterwards, that is, you can't miss it. And it's never the same. So I'm excited. Damn, Morry. Wow. Sorry for saying that, but wow. Absolutely blown away with that. And man, it's beautiful. Obviously, I ask this to everybody that comes onto my show, and I ask them, share a little bit of knowledge with us. I know I've asked you what you would do and everything, but share a little bit of knowledge with us as an entrepreneur, um, just to motivate people. What would you say to motivate them to follow their dreams? Because we're living in an age where traditional work is ending. New methods of entrepreneurship is standing up. I believe we're entering the age of entrepreneurs. And I would like to encourage them. This is what we do on Entrepreneurs Live Show. And even in our magazine, we totally go out to say to the people, listen, we want to motivate you. We want to push you. We want to help you get there. What will your piece of motivation be?
Well, I can give you an example of something that I told a gentleman that he was in the video production business. He was making videos for industry. And I said to him, pretend I'm one of those industries that you're going to make a video and you've never met me before. And you walked into my office. Can you please show me what it is that you are going to do for me that will cause me to hire you? And he proceeded to lay out all the equipment that he's using and discussed all the technical ability of that equipment, okay, and how this is so much better than that. And he has redundant this and all. And by the time he was finished, he looked at me and he smiled and he said, so what do you think? And I said, you didn't sell me. He said, but I'm showing you the best equipment that I have. And I said to him, here's the problem. You didn't ask me why I needed a video. You didn't serve my needs. You were so involved with the equipment that you had that you forgot the basics. You have to find out what a person wants. And I found that from the time I was 12 years old. What does a person want? And then give it to them. All right. I wasn't interested in hiring you because of your equipment. I was interested in hiring you because of your passion of how you can help me, how my business would benefit by using you. You never mentioned any of that. And without showing me the benefits to my business, I will open the door and say goodbye. And he learned from that. And this is what I try to teach entrepreneurs. Okay, understand your market. When I wrote Cosmo, when I wrote The Chase, I looked at the market first and said, what does this market need? And do I have a lot of competition? And are they in fact doing the job that I feel they should be doing properly? Would the market accept me? So like I said, as an entrepreneur, you study your market, you make sure that they want it, and then you give it to them. You don't
Yes,
create
yes.
something and hand it to them. And I think that photographer learned something that day, that it wasn't about the equipment, it was about him. And
I
that's the
love it.
best advice I can give anybody.
I love it. You know, Morry, that's beautiful. And I no, I not kind of agree. I agree with you on that, because if somebody comes in and you ask them, listen, this is what I need, sell me. You don't want to know about the equipment. You want to know how they can solve a problem for you. And being an entrepreneur, that's our number one. I always tell people you need to be a good puzzle builder, because you're going to get a 1,000-piece puzzle and someone's going to have a 3,000-piece puzzle. You're going to need to see the puzzle completed when you meet your customer, and you need to know where what fits in. And being like that, you need to um, stand in the gap for a solution. You need to be the solution. And if you're going to tell me, like we do graphic design, we do websites and stuff, and you come to me and you say to me, listen, I've got this system running, and I've got this and this and this, that's not going to interest me. The graphic designer working with me at the moment, when I spoke to her and I said to her, listen, this is what I need. The first thing that she did for me is she showed me work that she's done. And that's what I needed at the moment to see where and what she is. She started talking about how we can change certain things in design methods, how we can up the logo, how we can change the thing. That is what I needed. I didn't need somebody coming to tell me, oh, I've got this computer and this and this and this. That's not going to work for me. We need to know the solution. We need to know. So entrepreneurs, if you're listening, Morry just gave you like absolutely the best advice you can ever get. If you can do anything in your life, listen to this over and over and over. As an entrepreneur, you need to be the solution, not the problem. You need to stand in the gap and help your clients find solutions for the problems. Listen, that's the number one thing, because people will ask you, Morry, you agree with me on this? People are going to ask you to say something or do something. Listen to them. Don't decide beforehand what you're going to tell them. You need to say to them, listen, please tell me what's your problem. Then work out the solution. Listen is the first part. Then be the solution. Now, Morry, I want to just read two comments quickly for you. Debbie Conlon is saying, very inspiring. Yashina Singh is saying, so inspiring and an interesting interview. And she's using my favorite word, wow. I absolutely agree with her. I'm enjoying this so much. I said to my wife a couple of months ago, one of my dreams still, but I'm not ready for that part yet, is to write a story on my life. Um, I don't know if they will hang me for it. I don't know if they will shoot me for it. And I don't know how many people will go into depression about it, but that's still a dream for me. Because, like I said to you earlier, if people say they can't do it, I challenge him to come and talk to us, because I can tell you one thing, and Morry will tell us to you guys also. Life isn't just positive. There's a lot of negative in it. But an entrepreneur's got a good given talent. We see the positive in every negative. Do you agree with me on that, Morry?
Well, we see the positive, okay, and we look at challenges as not being impossible. Just the impossible is a little bit more challenging, okay? Everything's a challenge, okay? We don't look at things as saying, well, gee, this is going to be a problem. A lot of people, they approach things as problems they have to solve. An entrepreneur looks at it as a challenge, okay? It challenges his ability to resolve a situation and move on, okay? And entrepreneurs by nature, that I've noticed, are a little bit fearless. They take the step. Sometimes they may not necessarily look in the future and try to avoid the potholes of taking that step, but that's okay. It'd be a learning experience to them. If they didn't look ahead and they fall, then they realize don't take a step into that pothole. But nevertheless, entrepreneurs will always take that step. And to be perfectly frank, we all have that within us all. It's just
Yes,
a
we
question
do.
of we have to control our fears, because it's our own fears that prevent us from taking that step.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm just quickly going to read to you. Shannon gave us another awesome comment, and he said, "Don't be a copycat. Give something original." I agree with you, Shannon, 100%. And forget about what everyone else is doing. They're already doing it. Again, I agree with that 100%. You are not everyone else. You are unique to you, just what you said. And the best thing to sell is yourself. Sell that. Offer what no one else can offer. I mean, that's beautiful. It's fitting in so nice what you're saying there, Morry. You know, when a person showed you all the equipment, they were showing you the equipment. They were not selling themselves. You know, one of the first pieces of advice I got, I was around about 15 years old, and my uncle's in a multi-level marketing business, and he said to me, "David, the first thing you need to learn is to sell yourself. Your friends, your people, everybody that's going to buy from you is not going to buy your product. They're going to buy you, because they want to have you. If they want to have a product, they will walk into a pharmacy. They will walk into a supermarket. They will walk into a general reseller or a retailer. They will go for that. But when they want something that you offer, they want you. So be unique." Shannon, thank you for sharing that with us. That is really awesome. And then we've also got another message from Yashina saying, "David, go for it. Every story teaches us and assists others. You help so many people as an entrepreneur." Oh, I didn't know it was for me. Thank you, Yashina. It's quite awesome. And, you know, it's quite inspiring. Yashina is also in a journey, Morry, where she's busy standing up for women in business, and she's busy sharing the beautifulness of standing together as entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs, femme entrepreneurs. And I'm glad she's listening into this tonight. So Yashina, thank you for being with us. And Yashina, what I want to share with you, and I think Morry will agree with me on this, is when you sharing your story, as I know you are this awesome person, but you don't always like the attention on you. Don't be scared to share your story. Talk to people. Share what is inside of you, because there's a beautiful light shining from inside out. And like Shannon said, just share your story. Sell yourself. What Morry said, he doesn't want people coming to him, selling him the equipment. Sell yourself. It's just so beautiful. Everything is just fitting in. I just quickly want to check. Do we have more comments? Okay, no more comments. So we're going to close the comments for now. Morry, for the last couple of minutes that we've got left, I would love you to share your contact details, because I really feel you're a very interesting person, number one. You're very inspirational. You are absolutely an entrepreneurial knowledge base and somebody people can really go and just find and talk to. Where can I find you? How can I find you? And just feel free to share your details with us, my friend.
Well, you can find me on Facebook under Morry David. My Facebook author page is M. David Bestselling Author. You can also go to LinkedIn and you will find me there under Morry David. You can go to Amazon. My books are under the name M. David, The Chase by M. David, or The Ghost of Shepherd's Inn by M. David. Unfortunately, I can't give you Cosmo yet. We haven't released it yet. We are going to release this hopefully before the movie and use it part of publicity. So we may not see Cosmo out for at least a year because it takes time for the movie, but nevertheless, it'll be out. I love
Awesome.
talking to people. I love talking to entrepreneurs. And if I could make one statement that entrepreneurs should listen to is, if you believe in yourself, other people will believe in you. So just believe
Beautiful.
in yourself, have the confidence in yourself, and that star, that energy that you have, trying to put out your passion, trying to do something good for the world, people will join in. And that's what has happened to me. People will join in and say, how can we be part of it? So no matter what you do in your life, okay, just do it with passion. Do it with the ability of maybe making a change in the world. Do it in a positive sense, and you will be surprised how many people will want to help you.
I love it, Morry. I absolutely love it. I want to try something I haven't done on my show. Please lift up your Cosmo book for me, if you don't mind.
Okay, here's the Cosmo book. It's not out yet on Amazon, but you will be seeing this hopefully right before the movie.
Let's try this. Coming soon to Amazon and a movie theater closest to you. Cosmo by M. David. I just had to try that.
But my publisher is saying, when should we do this? You know, it's funny, the book was printed and they printed proof books, and I have demonstration books naturally to give out to producers and directors. But, you know, they spent a lot of money on this book, and yet we haven't released it because properly it should be released perhaps as part of the movie campaign. So if a movie comes out, you want to release it perhaps 6 months before, and I'll go on TV shows and discuss the book and discuss the movies. And if anybody wants to know a little bit about The Chase, I know that you haven't read it. There's a lot of people that I'm sure haven't read it. The reason it became so successful is because, again, I like to write things that don't have sexual situations, don't have a tremendous amount of violence, but are exciting. And to give you an example about how exciting this first book was, it was about a 13-year-old boy who's woken up in the middle of the night by his father. And his father says, son, you have to leave. And the father yanks the cord from his nightlight out of the wall so he couldn't turn on any lights. And the father dumps his hockey bag that had hockey equipment in it and started loading it with his son's clothing. And he hands this bag to his son, and he opens up the bedroom window and says, you're going to have to leave out the bedroom window. And the son is very confused. You know, he's like, Dad, what's going on? And the father basically is pushing him out the window, and the son walks across a little roof that overhang and walks and climbs down a tree, and the father's waving him away. And the boy is like, what is going on? And he's at the edge of his property, not necessarily looking at his house because he's still walking to the edge of the property, and he hears a noise, and he turns around and his house blows up. And he's 13 years old. He has no home, no parents, no possessions. All he has is a hockey bag full of clothing. And that's where the nightmare, he's living a nightmare in reality. That, what I just described to you, was the first 2 pages of The Chase. The first 2 pages.
Wow.
And every single chapter, your heart pounds and you start feeling bad for this boy, and you don't know what he's going to do, and his friends are being kidnapped and people are after him and he has no idea why. Of course, it has a wonderful ending, but nevertheless, you have these heart-pounding problems of a 13-year-old boy who you know, if you look at it, and if another child looks at it and he goes, boy, I thought my life was bad. This kid has a bad life. And this is why it became a bestseller. And, you know, and that's the way I like to write. And I don't want to talk too much about Cosmo because I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I certainly could tell you a little bit about the chase, which is what I just did. So hopefully you're intrigued now.
No. But the problem is my show is only 1 hour and I want you to read the whole book to me. You already got my attention. It's like, please tell me what happens. Because when you're telling the story, the method that you tell it of the boy walking to the edge of the property, immediately my mind is putting me there. And I'm like, what's happening now? And you talk about the explosion. I literally got goosebumps all over. And oh, wow. Now I can't wait to read it. We have to get it.
I had a good, I still have a very good relationship with the publisher, and he asked me, he said, when I read your manuscripts, they read as if it's a movie. I can see it in my mind. And you may not describe every leaf of every tree, but it doesn't matter. I feel the movie. How do you do that? And my answer to him is all my stories start out as a movie in my own mind. I picture the individual scenes, the characters. I look at everything as if it was a real movie. And then I write down, as an observer of the movie, I write down what I saw. And that's why it gives the people an impression that it's a movie, because it started out in my mind as a movie.
Oh, my word. Wow. I just quickly want to give you some last comments. Yashina said, you bring your own unique self. Absolutely. And Leonie is saying exactly what I'm saying. She's saying, now I have to read the chase. You can't keep me hanging just there. And that's exactly what I'm feeling. It's like, what's happening now? I think we must extend it as long as you need to read the book. Wow. My mind is blown, Morry. This was amazing. Unfortunately, our time is up, and we will love. Oh, there's one more comment. Just hold on. See, the people love you, Morry. This is good.
It's so nice that people, you know, like me. I try to say that to my wife. Look, a lot of people like me, and she laughs.
Listen to this one. Shannon says, got my attention also. I generally don't read books. They make me fall asleep. This one sounds awesome. So you've just won the audience in South Africa, my friend. Congratulations for that. And it's going to be amazing. Unfortunately, our time is up here on Entrepreneurs Live Show on ShowonMSCRadio. And I would like to thank Morry David for making his time available, sharing with us his amazing story, and sharing with us a little bit of the book that everybody is going to go and buy now. The book is called The Chase by M. David. Do not miss it. If you miss it, I'm coming for you. And Morry, we are looking forward to following up with you. And as soon as you're ready to go with the movie and you guys are ready to move it, let me know. We will help you with the launch also from our side. We're there for you. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure. I take my hat off for you. This is amazing. I've spoken to a lot of writers. I've spoken to a lot of different people. You are unique. You are different. And I like it. And I like your style of writing, especially that you care to keep it family friendly, which I like. That's one thing that's very important for me and my values. So, Morry, thank you for that. We appreciate you coming on to this show.
Thank you. It was my pleasure, and I'd be happy at any time to help you any way I can. And when Cosmo starts to come out, you'll be the first one I'll call. And I appreciate
awesome, my friend. Absolutely awesome. So, listeners, this was Mr. Morry David. You can go find him on Amazon, find him on Facebook, find him on LinkedIn. Under M. David, or you can find him under Morry David. Go and find this man, follow him, read his books, buy his book, share his book. It's almost Christmas. Hey, Santa, you are listening. Put the book into the bag. People need the book. Look at me saying yes. Santa, follow me. Say yes. You need to put a book in for everybody. And Morry, I can't wait to talk to you again, my friend. Everybody listening tonight, thank you for tuning in. This was spectacular. Morry, we will chat soon again.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure, and I appreciate being on your show.
Awesome, man. Listeners, see you tomorrow night for another awesome interview. This was the Entrepreneurs Live Show right here on